Okay, I want to go over the products to install and the order to install them to go through the Turtle Tracker System tutorials. And that way what you do in the video will work. There's some product combinations that don't work. So to explain that, I want to talk a little bit about how product versioning works and a problem that often happens. Let's say I have 3 middleware products: a database, an application server, and a code generator. And let's assume that the database is version 8, the application server is version 9, and the code generator is version 11. And all 3 need to talk to each other. There's like this triangular compatibility relationship here. Well, each one of these is made by teams of developers that are working on a new version of the product. So I kind of put those here in light colors. So the database team is working on a version 9. That could be at one company. The application server team is working on version 6. That could be at another company. The code generator people are working on version 12 at a third company. Well, if we look at it from the point of view of the database team, they're working on version 9. But the only other products that exist is version 5 of the application server and version 11 of the code generator, because the new versions of those don't exist. So how can you make something compatible with a product that doesn't exist? So the best they can really do is make their product compatible to version 5 and 11. Now, will it be compatible with version 6? Maybe. Sometimes that happens where nothing's really has changed enough to make it not compatible. Will there be a version 9.1 that in the future that will be compatible with 6 and 12? We don't know. So this is the problem that middleware faces. So anytime you work with a lot of middleware products, you got to make sure that you find a combination where they're compatible together. So we are going to install JDK, Java JDK 17, Java JDK 1.8, and then NetBeans 12.6. We know these products together work because we've had many classes of a lot of students going through them, and we know that they work. Will other combinations work? The answer is maybe. Sometimes they work out of the box. Sometimes you have to do some manual configuration to get them to work. Sometimes they do not work. Even with configuration, like this version of one product will not work with this version of another. So we strongly recommend you use these versions because we know these versions work. If you use a different version and you get halfway through the tutorials and something doesn't work, you're always going to wonder, is this a compatibility problem between the middleware, or did I do something wrong in my code? And we've had students who picked different versions mistakenly, who had compatibility problems, but they thought it was a bug in their code, and they would spend huge amounts of time looking for a bug that didn't exist. So we strongly recommend that you use these specific products because we know this is a combination that works. This problem is that we have with software and its dependencies is often called the software version dependency problem. Sometimes it's called dependency hell. Here's the Wikipedia page on dependency hell. You can check it out. So I am going to install the products from the valhallads.com website. I went to the links and got the 3 products. I'm going to start with JDK 17. If you have a different subversion of 17, this is 0.09. If you have another one, it probably will work just fine. I think that's probably okay. The JDK 17 is pretty quick and pretty easy. JDK 8 is kind of a 2-step installation. So, but you pretty much just take the defaults. And once you say okay to the first one, a second one kind of runs, and that's okay. Just take the defaults. And say close, And then I'm going to install NetBeans 12.6. This one we have to double check a few things and answer a few questions. So the first screen, pretty much go with next, accept the license terms. Confirm that this path, this is the Java version JDK that NetBeans will use to run. Make sure it is pointed to the wherever the Java JDK 17 was installed. Say next. I would recommend keep check for updates in activated, and let it install. And it kind of runs through the status bar twice. Okay, once it's complete, we're going to say finish, and then we want to bring up NetBeans. Okay. Now in the videos I have some tabs over here which I like to use, and to bring those up to make it look like the videos, you do Windows Project, Windows Files, and Windows Services. And these will be the 3 tabs that we have. Okay, once I have my projects, files, and services up, I can open up my database, and this is under the Services tab, and look at servers. And I want to right click and say add a server, and select Glassfish and say next. And it will ask you if you want to download this web IE extensions. Say download and activate. Say yes, agree, install, and finish. And give it a second here to activate. And this step here of adding the Glassfish server, you only have to do one time. You don't have to do it every time you bring it up. Once it's created, you'll be in good shape. Now, the version of Glassfish we want to install is 5.1, not 5.01 or 6, 5.1. And say that you've read and agreed to the license, and click download. And while it's doing that, this up here is the path where it will install the Glassfish server. And once it is done, we're going to say next. And you might be tempted to put in a target username and password, but don't. Just say finish. And you'll notice that the things have changed up here. One other thing you want to do is go to Tools and Java Platform. And you'll see that it knows about JDK, but we also installed 1.8. So we need to add a platform. And you can just say standard. Next, and you need to navigate to where the 1.8 was installed, which is probably under Program Files Java. And you want to pick the JDK and say next and finish. And you can close here. Now I should be able to go to servers and see Glassfish server and right click and start. And JDK 1.8 should come up. If not, I can select a different, if something else comes up, you can select 1.8 and say OK. And a couple things happen here at the bottom. One is that I should see 2 tabs, one for the database that it's connected to up here, and that should be Apache Derby 10.14.2, and then there should be a tab for the Glassfish server. And if it finishes with context path from servlet context, that is the last of the log messages. And you have everything set up, and now you're ready to go through the other videos and material to build out the Turtle Tracker system.